Ariana?
Good evening.
Yeah. Yeah, on Facebook, I think now. Yeah.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening, Kim. Good evening.
Good evening, Bhante
Sorry,
and all
missed the
Kalyanamita.
Pali class.
Good evening, Bhante and all Kalyanamita Sukhi Hontu. I'm Aliana and welcome to Sutta Discussion Day 70 by Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima. Tonight class is the 21st class of Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, and we are going to continue discussing about cry of the 16 Brahma realms and Sotapati of Monk Kondanya. Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is the fifth sutta from the total of 10 suttas that have been chosen by Bhante Chandima for this sutta discussion. For those who have missed our previous classes, please check on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Facebook page and YouTube channel. We have uploaded the previous 69 classes there. The Sutta discussion Zoom class is always open. Therefore, whoever that wish to join the class via Zoom, where we can engage directly with Bhante, can contact us on Ti-Ratana Vihara Amapadana Facebook Messenger. We are always welcoming newcomers. Our speaker, Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima, is the Associate Editor of the Journal of International Buddhist Studies, or JIBS, which is published by the Buddhist Research Institute of Mahachulalongkorn Raja Vidyalaya University in Thailand. He was previously a research fellow at the Center for Studies in Religion and Society, or CSRS, of University of Victoria, Canada. Bhante Dr. Ganggodawila Chandima was also a Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada from year 2012 till 2016. Bhante is currently the senior advisor to Patisota, a virtual Dharma organization that hosts a weekly online Pali reading class, Sutta discussion, Dharma talk, and a variety of other Dharma activities. His Dharma work can be accessed at http://patisota.blogspot.com. Without further ado, we welcome once again Bhante, and thank you very much for the wonderful talk.
Thank you, Ariana. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our 70th Sutta discussion today. And one of the good things that I can say today is that I'm doing the Sutta discussion from the Ti-Ratana Vihara.
Oh, nice.
I came to Ti-Ratana Vihara today,
Okay.
in the evening.
You
Yes.
came down already, ah? Oh, okay.
Yes, so I'm in your temple. So, yes.
Because someone is picking you tomorrow at 6.
Tomorrow, yes, I was thinking, but then again, things,
Too early.
got fixed up. Yes, to come a little early. And then, because I have another event in the evening tomorrow, Kinrara, Puchon. So better to come a little, yes. All right, so we have today Aliana, Kim, Lim, Kelvin. I saw Barbara yesterday in Mahavihara.
Sorry,
Nayan.
Bhante, I couldn't make it to the BGF because
That's
by
okay.
the time we finished, it was after 2 p.m. already.
Oh, I see.
The lunch was late and all that for us.
Yeah, that's a long event. Nayan and Brother Wu was there too. He was there. He made it. Lim Sok, Hema, Jacqueline. Okay, welcome everybody. And okay, let's get started by paying respect to the book. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Right, so we are going to study the last section. I think I would say the final section of our Okay, so I think if all goes well, I think we can finalize the sutta today. Probably I might think about whether to do a summary again, the whole sutta. I think that is necessary. But for today, we are going to be starting at 168. This is where the cry Saddang went from what do you call the cry went from the Deva world into the what do you call the Brahma worlds. So we have to then look at from 168 up until 182. Not long, because you can see the names of the Brahma worlds. They have been condensed here. That means a text keeps going with all these Brahma worlds, but I kind of summarized them here just to save the time. Okay, so let me read from 168 to 174, and then I will be asking to read. Okay. So Paranimita Vasavatti Nang Devanang Saddang Sutva. It goes to Brahma worlds. Brahma Ka Ika Deva Saddang Anusavesu. We can say Saddam Anusavesu. Saddang Anusavesu. Etang Bhagavata, it's the same, Varanasya, Isipatani Migadae, Anuttarang Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta Samaninava, Brahmanenava, Devenava, Marenava, Brahmunava, Kena Chiva, Lokasminti. Itiha Tena Kanena, Tena Muhuttena, Yava Brahmaloka, Sadhu Apuganchi. This is the point where the cry reach as far as the Brahma world, 16 material Brahma worlds. All right, maybe I'm going to ask somebody to read from 168 up until 174. Right, who would like to read or recite? Read. Aliyah is 168 and onwards.
Brahma Kayika Deva Saddam Anusavetum Etam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isipatane Migadaye Anutaram Dhammacakkappavattana Appativatiyam Samanena Va Brahmanena Va Devena Va Marena Va Brahmuna Va Kena Chiva Lokasminti. Iti ha tena kanena tena muhutena yawa Brahma loka sado abuganti.
Great. Yeah. For the last section, I think I would say from 169 to 172. It's the same phrase that keeps going. That's good. Somebody else? Okay, yes. It's 168 and onwards.
Brahma Kayika Deva Sadam Anusavasam.
Anusavesu.
Visam. Itam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isipatina Migadeya.
Isipatane Migadaye.
Isipatine Migadeye.
Ye.
Ye. Anutaram Dhammacakkappavattana Appativatiyam Samanina Ve Brahmanina Ve.
Not wait, va.
Va. Devina Va Marina Va Brahmuna va Kanachi va Lokasminti. Itiha tena Kanina tena Muhu tena Ya va Brahma Loka Sado Abuganchi.
Yeah, great. So the preposition va means, what does Pali va means? See, va, va, va. See, va. What does va mean? O, O-R, O.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
oh.
Deva, O Mara, O Brahma. But if you notice, cha, C-A, cha, that means and. Let's see a place for cha. Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is not friendly for a cha. Only va. Okay, we'll go ahead. Anyways, but cha means and. Va means O.
Number 11, what one? Kata maca.
Number 11. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Okay, let's go back.
Number
Even
10, number 10.
Now, cha. Ah, yes. See. Katama cha. Sa bhikkhave majjhima patipada. But there cha means something else. Actually, it means kind of an impolite idea. What is that middle part? What is this middle part? But if you see cha, see here, yocha ayam. It is implied in terms of what it is. Yeah, we might find in our future, I would say, sutta discussions. Yeah. Right. Okay, good. Anybody else? Anybody else who wants to read? Give it a try. We are almost at the end of the sutta. All right, nobody? We'll take one more minute. Lim Sakun, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Bhante, try, yeah?
Okay,
Okay.
one day I read one day.
Yeah, after Lim. It's okay?
Okay, yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Brahma Kayika Deva Sadang Anusavesum Etang Bhagavata Varanasyang Itsi Patani Mikadaye Anutaram Dhammacakkappavattana Pavatitam Apativati yang samanena va brahmanena va devena va marena va brahmuna va kenachiva lokasminti itihak tena kanena tena muhutena yava brahmaloka sado abiganchi abuganchi. Correct?
Actually, Abbukanchi means something reaches upward.
Oh,
Let's say you throw something to the sky, it reaches as far as the particular objects are concerned. Abbuganchi.
Abuganchi. Okay.
Because in, I think some of you went to Sri Lanka lately, yeah? You went to the Tooth Relics place in Kandy. Now they say at a certain point of time when the Buddhist order is going to, I would say, expire, probably kind of a time that where there is no material culture about pagodas, maybe relics. Before that time, my voice back again. Okay, before that time, it is said that all the relics of the Buddha get together at the place called Mahatupa, and then they do a kind of a miracle. I mean, this was given in some of the chronicles. What is Mahatupa, folks? Kim, have you been to Mahatupa in Sri Lanka?
No, I
Mahatupa?
don't. No, we
You
didn't.
don't think
Just
so?
the two relic. We went to one. Can't
You,
remember that.
you didn't go to Mahatupa?
I don't think so. No.
But you sent me a video of Mahatupa. How you got that?
I got
That's-
the name all mixed
Yes,
up.
Mahatupa. Mahatupa.
But the white
biggest
color,
pagoda.
the white color pagoda.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we went there. That was
Ah.
That's called Mahatupa.
Mahatupa, yes.
Ruang-
Ruang Valley Sai.
Ruang Vesila, I
That's
think.
the Mahatupa. That's the place it
the
is said
very
where
big stupa, is it? The very
Yes.
big. Okay, yeah, we went there.
Okay, that's the place where all the relics get together and do the miracle one day. It is said in Chronicles, up in the sky. So that kind of a miracle in the sky, right above Mahatupa, is called kind of a Abbuganchi. Abbuganchi, go up in the sky, in a particular place. All right, yeah, Kimsuk is good. And then I will ask Brother Wu. Brother Wu. You can read. Oh, yes, Brother Wu. All right, anybody else? All right, looks like nobody. Then let's get into our discussion. So our discussion. Before I discuss about the Brahmakayikas, let me ask you, what does Brahma mean? Okay, what does Brahma mean? B-R-A-H-M-A, Brahma. Here it's called Brahma, but Brahma. What does Pali Brahma mean?
Is it the king of the devas? Bhante?
Yes, if you go by a person, yes, but I'm asking the meaning of the word. Brahma. I would say the literal meaning of what does Brahma mean. Brahma means highest. Highest. Now let me take you to a place where you will reflect. Maybe remember. Titang charang nisin nova sayano vayavatas vigatamitu etang sating aditeya Brahma metang vihara. Where is it? I'm asking, where is that found? Where is that particular section found? Really? You forget about that. Very important section. Now we are talking about Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, but I think I was quoting the Karaniya-metta Sutta. Karaniya-metta Sutta, everybody chants every day. Why can't you remember that? Tittang charang nisin nova saya. Let me find it out. You will see that. Right, Metta Sutta. Yesterday, my talk at BGF was Metta Sutta in two aspects. See, okay, here. You see this stanza. Tittang charang nisin. Bigger. You see the word Brahma. Brahma. You see? Now I'm asking, what does Brahma mean? You want to go, we can go to the 9th stanza over here. Here. Whether standing, walking, seated, or lying down, as long as somebody is awake, she should develop this mindfulness, metta. This, they say, is the divine abode, divine abiding here. Actually, the literal meaning of Brahma is not just divine abiding. Brahma means highest, highest. So this was a very matter of concern at the time of the Buddha. Why is it? The people at that time in India said, we all come from somebody called Mahabrahma. We all are born from Mahabrahma. They even said different parts of his body. This is where we come from. Brahmanosya mukhamasi. All the Brahmins came from his mouth. They were born from his mouth. And some others were born from his arms. And some others were born from somewhere else. And the lowest kind of people according to them. They were born from his feet. Everything was alluded to the Mahabrahma, and that is why the word Brahma was kind of a very buzzword at that time, very popular. So Buddha wanted to say, Brahma is not this. Brahma is something different. He used Brahma in the sense of highest, higher. Now, if you remember 8 precepts, there's a precept called, what is the 3rd precept in the 8th precept? Panatipata, Dinadana, then Brahmacharya.
Brahmacharya.
Brahma means highest. Charya means behavior, highest living, highest form of living. Right? Highest form of living. And then at a certain point of his Dhamma talks, the Buddha said, Brahmati mata pitaro ahuneyati bucchari. I call your mother and father are the Brahmas. That means they are the ones who gave birth to you, not that person. Right? So who are our Brahmas? If you take the word as a person, our Brahma is going to be our parents, because they are the ones who gave birth to us. Yes. And on the other hand, it is very clear, because if you see the philosophical traditions, they always have the positive, negative parts. Even a battery has positive, negative part. Yin, yang, I would say Prakriti, Purusha, or maybe neutron, proton in science. They all talk about, the what you call, in order for you to create energy, you should have 2 aspects of the energy. Mother, father is the combination, and that itself was called as the Brahma. So this is one aspect. Hindu aspect as a person, Buddhist aspect as a person. Third, the Buddha said there are certain beings who are called as Brahmas, and they live in one of the 20 realms, Brahma realms, 16 Brahma realms, and then from that 16 Brahma world onwards, there are 4 other Brahma worlds. Why are these Brahmas important? Because we have Manusa, humans, we have Deva, means deities, and we have then Brahmas. In between Brahmas and Devas, there is a special type of beings called Mara. Mara is not one person, right? Because we have 2 major types of Maras, Nimmanarati Maras, and then the Paranimita Vasavati Maras, right? Who are normally going to be reborn in those Mara worlds? People who do things with expectations, material expectations. They're going to be reborn as Mara. Would you like to be a Mara? Or Deva or Manusa? Who would you like to be? Maras always scare the people. Yes. So Maras are higher than the Devas. They are the cream of the Devas. After that, we find some other more potential beings called Brahmas. Have you ever heard any active participation of Brahmas in terms of the Buddha's life? Where do they participate? Now we know the Devas come at a different time and they invite Buddha to give some Dhamma talks. They learn and they go back before the humans come. We know Manusa. What is the active participation of Brahma in terms of Brahmas in terms of the life of the Buddha?
Brahma Sahapati.
Brahma Sahampati. Brahma Sahampati is a Mahabrahma. It is said that when the Buddha was reluctant to give Dhamma talk, reluctant to start his mission, then it is said that he came up and then said, Bhante, there are many people who are waiting to listen to you. They have lots of lobha, lots of dosa, lots of moha. You can dispel the darkness of these people's lobha, dosa, moha. It is a little funny because Buddha knew that what he would do, and then he was suddenly reluctant. kind of little funny, because he had been actually doing all these things for many eons, and then suddenly he was thinking, I'm not gonna give Dhamma talks. And then this person showed up. Some of the commentaries says probably Buddha wanted to have an official invitation. Like if you go to Sri Lanka, when a monk is going to give a Dhamma talk, they don't normally start off Dhamma talk. A devotee has to come and invite, Bhante, please start the Dhamma talk. That is how the tradition goes. But I here just start off my Dhamma. Yes, we have invitations over here, Aliana. Yes. I mean, normally in Sri Lanka, they have a kind of a tray with betel nuts and all that. They come and they say, please start off the Dhamma. Probably the Buddha expected somebody to invite him, and then to, okay, now I'm going to start giving Dhamma talk. And that is how he found out the 5 ascetics, right? He did not think about them until that point. Then he found out all his previous teachers, Alara Kalaram, Uttakaram, they passed away. Now these 5 are living somewhere, Benares. Okay, so that is one major participation of the Brahmas, Mahabrahma. What are the other places you may have heard where the Brahmas actively participating in terms of the life of the Buddha, maybe the suttas? Any thoughts? Or is this the first time you heard this word Brahma? If you
Cannot
have,
recall, Bhante.
yes, Barbara?
No, I cannot. We cannot recall.
You cannot recall. Okay,
I
remember.
have read it and then cannot recall.
Okay, good. So if you have read about the life of the Buddha, especially when the Bodhisattva was just born, there are 20 things happening as miracles. It is said so, whether you believe it or not. It is said that they are happening. There's a sutta called Acharya Abbuddhamma Sutta. Maybe we can get into that. Not for everything. Acharya Abbuddhamma Sutta. If you want, you can read this one. This is going to be Majjhima Nikaya 1, 2, 3. You can see Venerable Ananda is invited by the Buddha to speak on the Buddha's amazing qualities, and proceeds to list a series of apparently miraculous events accompanying his birth. The Buddha caps it off by explaining what he thinks is really amazing about himself. It's up to you to read. Maybe I'm gonna copy paste here. So if you want to read, you can read whenever you have time. Not necessarily, but if you want some extra knowledge. Okay, in this sutta, it says that when the Bodhisattva was, were born, given birth by the, I would say, mother here, in this case, Queen Maya, the first people to receive the Bodhisattva is not the Chatu Maharajika Devas, not the 4 guardian Devas in the Chatu Maharajika. It is by the Brahmas. Brahmas are the ones who receive the Bodhisattvas. Devas cannot reach up to that level. And then they pass the Bodhisattva onto the hands of the 4 guardian Devas. It's a very active participation of the Brahmas in terms of the Bodhisattva's birth. That means, in other words, Brahmas are not only living there, they are sometimes moving around in the human world. Otherwise, how come they come? They show up at that point. Because we normally know Brahmas don't have 5 faculties that much. They have only, ears, eyes, ears. Mainly they have eyes, ears, and the mind. But there is one Brahma called Asanya Satta. They don't have even the mind. So probably a very subtle body. More subtle than the Devas. Right? Because you will become a Brahma by practicing jhanas, but you become a Deva by doing dana and all that. So there's a clear difference between these 2 beings. That means Brahmas are the only ones who can accept this Bodhisattva as a baby and then to pass on to the Chatumaharajika Devas. Actually, Chatumaharajika Devas are the ones who are protecting the Bodhisattva's mother. Right? It is said that once she was pregnant, at that point, since that point up until the delivery, they are always with her. Nobody can even reach up to her, actually, even the husband. It is said in the commentaries and all that. But when the Bodhisattva baby was delivered, they can't have any involvement at that point. Only the Brahmas can go and then take and then to give to them. This is one very interesting story. Apart from that, there are many stories like Baka Brahmas, many Brahmas actually.
Bhante, when the Bodhisattva, the infant, walked 7 steps, is it aided by the Brahma?
Is it aided by the Brahmas?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, because a normal infant cannot walk.
That is what we know by what
Yeah.
we perceive, because
Yes.
Bodhisattva's life cannot be understood with our limited knowledge. I think our knowledge is limited, although we say that, we know a lot of things.
Because I read before it was aided by, either the Maharajika, the guardian kings, or
I don't think nobody walked
aided.
him.
Yeah.
Nobody walked him. It was him that he walked. Well, I mean, it seems to be mythological in a way if you look at that way. But I think the problem is our knowledge is limited. Our wisdom is limited to understand this kind of a phenomenon.
And the lotus bloom on after every step.
Yes, lotus and then speaking. And if you see this sutta, Acharya Buddhama Sutta, you see a lot of things actually. If you want to see, just for a second, see.
What is the significance of the lotus blooming on every step?
What is the significance of the lotus?
Blooming on every step of every.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Actually, lotus is considered a different phenomenon in terms of the Buddha. Once there was a man who approached the Buddha and asked him, "Who is the Buddha?" Then Buddha is explaining to him, I have realized whatever the things that I supposed to realize. I have abandoned the things, whatever the things I supposed to abandon, and I have so and so forth. And then he was using the lotus in a way that I am like a lotus. If you look at the lotus and how the lotus was bloomed, the lotus is rooted in the mud. But when it is blossom, the lotus does not touch the mud. In the same way, just as that lotus, the structure, I'm a normal human, but out of the normal human, I'm an extraordinary human being. Just as how the lotus does not touch the mud, although lotus was rooted in the mud. So that is how the lotus is coming to the structure here. So every step that he made, I mean, we don't have lots of proof to understand this from the modern perspective. What we see in this sutta, you can see in this sutta, it is said, I think he walked. Let me see that specific place. Very interesting stuff here, actually. Okay. Now, see, I have learned this is in the presence of the Buddha. As soon as he is born, Bodhisattva is born, the Bodhisattva stands firm with his own feet on the ground, facing north. He takes 7 straight steps with a white parasol held above him. Well, I mean, the parasols, umbrellas were maybe held by some other high beings, but he still walks, surveys all corners, and makes this dramatic proclamation. Aggo hamasmi lokasya, jetto hamasmi lokasya, so and so. So it is given in the suttas. So lotus is as such. That means it was given to explain how we are supposed to understand the Buddha. I think this could be the reason why 7 lotuses were blue with his every step. All right, so there are a lot of stories about Brahmas with the Buddha, but they are not very popular unless you see that Buddha worked with some of the Brahmas, Devas actually. Other than that, now what we have to understand here is that these Brahmas, let's see the number of Brahma worlds over here. If we talk about such, then you have an idea who they are. Okay. Brahma Parisajja is the first Brahma world. Then Brahma Purohita, we call ministers of Brahma. Mahabrahma is the great Brahma. So his counselors, his ministers, and him. And then these are other Brahma worlds. Parittava, Appamanava, Abasara, Parittasubha, Appamanasubha, Subhakinna, Vehappala, Asanya Santa. After this, from 12 to 16, represents something very interesting. How are we calling these 5 Brahma worlds? We call these 5, I would say, the last Brahma worlds in the material Brahma worlds, Aviha, Atappa, Sudassa, Sudassi, and Akanita, as the pure lands.
Your bots.
Pure boats. I would, in other words, say pure lands. Now, in Mahayana, they say there is only one pure land where Buddha Amitabha, the Dhyani Buddha, is living. But in Theravada, the novel talks about it. We have 5 pure lands. The interesting thing here is that only an Anagami, supposing Anagami did not attain Nibbana as a human, then is supposed to be reborn in one of these 5 pure lands, abodes, and then attain Nibbana over there. How many of Theravadins, normal devotees, people who listen to Dhamma talk, think that we have pure lands here in the suttas? We do have 5. But in order to go there, you can't just go there just by chanting something. You have to practice and then attain certain attainments. Thereby, you have a chance to be reborn in one of these 5 places. But Mahayana version is that just chanting as much as you could. I mean, it's good. It's not bad. It's good. You know, there are different people who are studying, who are practicing Buddhism. But here, what we understand is that the last 5 are called Suddhavasas. We call them pure lands. Any questions?
Bhante, in Mahayana, the pure land is where the Amitabha Buddha resides. So in Theravada, there is no Amitabha Buddha, right? Is there?
We don't hear Buddhas living in the pure land. We hear only Anagamis who are going to become Arhants living there. That is what we hear, because Buddha is reborn in the human world. Human world is more precious. You can't see a Buddha over there. You can't see a Samma Sambuddha over there. So human realm is the most precious place. Not too much suffering, not too much happiness. Automatically, but we create lots of suffering, we create lots of happiness, and we make a very messed up life. It is a personal choice. But if you look at the nature, it is not too much suffering, not too much happiness. You can create a balanced life. But if you go to hells, it's too much suffering. If you go to the Deva world, too much happiness. You are more likely get caught up with these pain and pleasures. So yeah, so we don't see this Amitabha Buddha version over there, but it is not a version. We can't say, we cannot deny it. You know, we never know, because they say there's only one pure land, right? And you are going to be reborn by thinking about him. Actually, a devotee who has no idea about Dhamma, who has no knowledge about Dhamma, who has no understanding about Dhamma, but by mere understanding that there's a Buddha who can help me somewhere, I think it's good. Because I think we are different, you know, like people like you come here, you learn, you take down notes, you prepare more, but they should have a different way, choice. But in the Theravada version, Sutta version, we see there are 5 abodes. We call them Suddhavasas. Okay, now let's see how can someone become a Brahma? Because now the cry, the Saddha went onto their worlds. It started from the Deva worlds, now it came to their world. That means the sound of the last Deva world. What is it? What was the last Deva world? Highest Deva world?
Paramita Vasavati.
Paranimmita Vasavati. That means when they talk, they can hear. The first Brahma world can hear what they talk. But the first Brahma world cannot hear the other sounds. Right? Dihan, you have a question?
One thing, Bhante, from the sometimes we have heard then devas coming to as a human and doing some duties and going back within 2 hours or 3 hours
2
in
hours?
their life, right? Are there the Brahmas also coming?
We haven't seen Brahmas are helping humans, other than they show up at very specified, very special circumstances. Yes, because when you say devas, devas are everywhere, right? The lowest deva living with us in our house, in trees, rivers, and we call them Bumma Deva. Yani the Bhutani Samagatani Bummani Vaya. Bumma, the Bumma Deva. They are the ground Deva actually. They are living with us. They are not higher than this aerial ones, Kaiva. Then the aerial ones, which we talk by Chatu Maharaj and all that. We don't know. We have no reference about.
There's no any evidence for this Brahmas came and done something? No.
Brahmas came and helped the Buddha, and he had conversations.
So only for an instant, but sometimes as a living for some time and going back to their realm? No.
In my reading, I haven't found, to my knowledge. I think that role is up to the Deva. They are the ones who are very close to the humans, because Brahmas are enjoying their jhana happiness. They are not worried about what humans doing a lot. But Devas are worried because they are having lots of happiness, right? It's like when you are so happy, you're checking out, are they happy too? Huh? Are they suffering?
Who is the main role for this? The Buddhism should last for another 2,500 years. So who is this for the main level for this protection assigned?
Devas. Mostly Tavatins Devas actually. That's why most of the roles for the human side, they were done by the Devas. Because you never call upon Brahmas, right? You only talk about Deva, Naga, Mahitika. We don't say that we're going to share good karmas to Brahma, because they are enjoying their jhanic happiness. All right, so let's leave those questions at the end, and I'm going to explain something very important now. Let me tell you now, how do different Brahmas, arise in those places, different Brahma worlds? It is said that it is because of certain jhanas, right? We have, how many jhanas do we have?
8.
Huh?
8 jhanas.
8 jhanas. So we call mostly 4 jhanas initially. First, second, third, fourth jhanas are the most important jhanas that we know. Is Buddhism a practice of jhana, or is Buddhism a practice of wisdom? What is the focus in Buddhism in terms of its purpose?
Wisdom.
We are supposed to come to the wisdom. How does wisdom arise? Does it arise like being on autopilot, or do we have to do something for that? Why people meditate?
Yes.
People meditate to achieve samadhi. Huh?
Samadhi.
Samadhi. Yes, samadhi. People meditate to enter into the samadhi. Samadhi means concentration, right concentration. Then what will happen when we have the right concentration? Their wisdom arises. In the
Mm.
mind of, in the concentrated mind, there arises wisdom. That means wisdom is our purpose. Wisdom means being able to see the reality.
Yes.
Because what we see normally is the deluded version of reality. It's deluded. It's covered by lots of things. Like you see, trying to see the world through a different color of something. You see everything as it is, that way. So now, jhana practice is not our purpose in Buddhism, but jhana is the starting point. Jhana may be the starting point of our life because we practice samatha meditation sometimes as a starter. I think I already told you, our starter is not our main course of our meal, right? When you go to a restaurant, start with the starter, appetizer. But we should not end our meal with the appetizer. You might order some garlic bread or something like that, just to get ready, prepare for the main course. But the main course is something different. But don't end up with a bad dessert. Huh? It's too bad. But main course and the starter. That means samatha, what you call by overcoming certain things, will lead us to jhanas. And when you attain a certain level of calmness in your mind, that will help you. Actually, that will not normally help you. You have to shift your focus of that concentration into the wisdom side. If you end up with the samadhi, that means you are a pure Hindu. Hindus do the same. Just end up with the samadhi, bliss, 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 bliss. Then they expire from the bliss at a certain point. So here what we have to understand is that now these Brahmas, most of these Brahmas, especially how many Brahmas are there? Now if you reduce 5 out of 16, you get 11 Brahmas. These 11 Brahmas have been practicing jhanas without a big focus on Panya. So that when they pass away, they are simply reborn there. But it will not take them to Nibbana. They just stay in those places and they may be reborn in the human world, maybe somewhere else. Only the last 5 Brahmas are having a very good chance of making the move to the Nibbana. Definitely they're going to be attaining Nibbana. How do we practice this, what you call samatha? It's a very simple question.
Samatha,
Yeah, how do we practice samatha?
mindful of the breathing.
Yeah, there are different ways to practice samatha. And what is the focus of samatha? Overcoming 5 hindrances. We call them pancha nivarana. Nivarana or avarana. 2 terms are okay. Nivarana, avarana. Nivarana means preventions. These 5 prevent us in seeing the reality. What are they? Kamachanda. When Kamachanda comes to you, it prevents us seeing the reality. When Vyapada comes in front of you, you don't see the reality. Tiramidda, Udachikukucha, Vichikiccha. Now, a yogi or somebody who is meditating on that, practicing cultivating kusala thoughts, going to at least temporarily withdraw oneself from these 5, thereby attaining jhanas. These Brahmas, especially 11 Brahma worlds, not the last 5, they have done that, haven't attained Nibbana, haven't attained Anagami, so they're going to be going to be reborn there. So how is the classification happens? Now, if somebody practices first jhana, first one, and then suddenly that person passes away, I would say if that person passes away, whatever the reason, then that particular person has a chance of being reborn in one of these. It's been the first 3 Brahma worlds. Brahma Parisajja. Probably I can make the numbers over here so you will understand them. I think this way is better, right? You will understand. Okay, let's say you practice, you attain the first jhana, then you pass away. Then you're going to be reborn in one of these places. It is said people who have practiced first jhana to a lower level, to a minimum level, they are going to be reborn in the Brahma Parisajja Brahma birth. Make sense? They attain the jhana, but their practice is very low. I mean, compared to other two. And the people who practice first jhana, attain the first jhana, but they practice first jhana to a moderate level, and they die from that human world and going to be reborn in the second Brahma world called Brahma Purohit. And those beings who practice the first jhana, attain first jhana, but they practice very seriously, very strongly, and they are going to be reborn in the third Brahma world called Maha Brahma, great Brahma. So now you understand these Maha Brahmas or Brahma Purohitas, Brahma Parisajjas, they are reborn in these places because of the level of their practice of the first jhana. And then that is how they are reborn in Brahma Parisajja, Brahma Purohita, and Maha Brahma. Now, yes.
Must they be in jhana state at the point of death in order
Once somebody is with the jhana, once somebody attains jhana, their death is destined to have a jhanic death, definitely. Especially the first jhana is guaranteed for them. But you know, there is a...
So not necessary at the point of death they are meditating, not necessary.
Well, we know that the jhanas are not things like Sotapanna or Sakadagami, Anagami, Arhat states of mind. Yeah. So let's say somebody attains the first jhana, but suddenly he withdraws, he expires from that. Definitely he is not going to be reborn in these places. That means, as you asked, as you said, there should be a certain involvement with these jhanas at the time of the death too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, because jhanas are expired. But if somebody, let's say great Brahmas, they have practiced first jhana strongly, their next life as a, let's say somebody has practiced first jhana very strongly, and then that person is going to be reborn in the great Brahma world, definitely, because the practice is strong. Let's say you practice dana in a very lower way. Once in a while you go to the temple, you offer your dana practice, you're not very strong. You're not involved in that much, right? It's not a habitual karma for you. Maybe your sila practice is not very strong, which means you are not doing all the time. You are just, sometimes you are lazy, sometimes you are moody, sometimes you are having second thoughts, right? So every good practice has to be a habit. Thereby you make it to the intensification out there, right? Otherwise, it's something like a food that you ate once in a while. You don't remember it well, right? Okay, first jhana. Second jhana. That means when somebody in the human world attains the second jhana, then that person, depending on the intensification of the jhanic practice, is going to be reborn in these places. Say, okay. Let's say as a human, you attain second jhana. But in your second jhana practice, you are not, okay, you are practicing second jhana practice, although you attain it in a lower way, minimum. So you will be reborn in the Paritapa world. But if you have practiced it to the moderate level, you will be reborn in the Appamana Brahma world. But if you have practiced the second jhana after attaining to a very strong, very, I would say, intensified level, you'll be reborn in the Abhasara Brahma world. This Abhasara is a very interesting Brahma world. Anybody remembers why? Anybody can tell me why? Why is it? Have you ever heard this Abhasara Brahma world? The sixth one? These Brahmas have what you call streaming radiance. And I want to tell you something too. Here you see Deva, Deva, Deva. Actually, the word Deva has also been used for Brahmas, but we particularly understand him as Brahma, differently from Devas. They could say higher Deva. I would say Brahmas, Brahmas of streaming radiance, Brahmas of unbounded radiance, Brahmas of limited radiance, great Brahmas, ministers of Brahma, retinue of Brahma. So have you ever come across in your reading about this Abhasara Brahma world? Where did you find it? If so.
The Aganya Sutta.
In the Aganya Sutta. What does it say?
About like beings being reborn to the earth.
This is the place where our evolution supposed to have started. Right? The Buddha says in the Aganya Sutta, this is one sutta in the Digha Nikaya. In this sutta it says, one day this whole human animal habitat are going to be vanished. At that point, a lot of things are happening in this universe. He's talking about a universe. So after a long time of that vanishing, disappearing of this universe, then some beings from this Abhasara Brahma world start coming to the human world. And what will happen to them after that? Yeah, they're going to be very unfortunate beings after that. They were very good beings at that level. But when they come to the human world, they start eating coarse food, solid food like us. When you eat solid food, you will have lots of lobha dosa moha. Why Deva and Brahma have less desires, less hatred? Because their bodies are very subtle. They don't eat solid food. Once you eat solid food, your body becomes rough and then coarse. And then the negativities have a high chance of starting. Some of those Abhasara Brahmas who come to the human world, I think they are going to help us. They are going to help us. But by sacrificing their Brahma nature, and then what will happen to them is that they start eating certain food. It is said that they are going to eat some mushroom types of things from this earth. And they then like it. Oh, we haven't had this in the Abhasara world. Because in the Abhasara world, food is very subtle, not like this. And then they start finding out some rice. They feel very happy about it, right? And then what happens? They are liking the taste of the human world. And then they look at till that time, there was no gender manifestation. They look at, oh, you are a woman, I'm a man, you know? And they start getting closer, and then all that stuff is happening. And then it is said that, why do we need houses? Houses are being created. So as things go by, there's a certain point, one person is going to steal other person's rice. They started thinking, I think there are thieves down here, robbers. So we have to find a good governance here. So and so forth, the evolution in the Buddhist way has been started, I would say, started by the Abhasara Brahmas who came from Abhasara Brahma. So if you want to find out your origin, then it must have been from the Abhasara Brahmas. Right? Normally you're looking at a certain human who is our proto-human, by experiments. But in Buddhism, it says it is Abhasara Brahmas who sacrificing their nature into becoming a human. Okay, so now you understand, when some humans attain second jhana, depending on the intensification of their jhana, second jhana practice, they will be reborn in the Parittaba, means the lower level of second jhana practice. Appamana means the moderate level of the second jhana practice. Avasara means the higher level, I would say, stronger level of the second jhana practice. Now we talked about 6 Brahmas. Now there comes third jhana people, Brahma Bulls. Who are they? So we're going to be talking 7, 8, and 9. All right, you can see, huh? That means when, let's say, as a human being, like now, if you in this human world before you pass away, if you attain the third jhana, but your third jhana practice is very low, okay, then if you die at that point, you will be reborn in the Paritta Subha Brahma world. But if your third jhana practice is moderate, you'll be born in the Appamana Subha Brahma world. But if your third jhana practice is very high, very strong, you'll be reborn in the Subha Kinha Brahma world. If you want to know some Pali here, you see Paritta means limited, Subha means glory, Appamanabha means unbounded. You know Appamana, right? Appamana. And Subha means what you call radiant, right? So it's pretty easy to understand there. Finally, we're going to talk about the final 4th jhana. Actually, those 5 pure lands and the rest of a couple of them, 2 more Brahma worlds, beings are coming from the practice of the 4th jhana. Say this way. 10, 11, 12. All right. So what does it mean? That means as a human being, before you pass away, if you have attained the 4th jhana, but your intensification of that practice is what you call different. Thereby you are attaining these places. Actually, the last 5 are very important ones. That means you must have been anagami to be reborn there. Vehappala. This place has to be discussed a little bit more. Asanya Satta. What does it mean? Asanya Satta. The 11th one. Have you ever heard about stuff about Asanya Satta?
No mind, only body.
No mind, only body. Is it possible?
No.
Can there be a being without the mind?
No. Can be
How do we understand that?
we have
Can there be a
mind without body?
Yeah, can there be a being without the mind? Actually, they have a mind, but it's very subtle. They can't have a being without the mind, but their mind is very subtle. Now, Asanya Sattas, it is said that they are what you call coarse version of the mind, like us. It is not working. They have no sanya, no perceptions. Actually, they come to that point, they will be reborn as Asanya Satta Brahmas because they practice asanya when they were human beings. They were thinking the biggest problem to our spiritual life is the mind. Right? Now, you do a lot of things for the mind, right? You meditate, you chant, you learn Dhamma, but finally, mind itself is a problem, right? Because of the mind, we are dealing with all these things. So, these particular human beings had practiced what you call meditation, jhanas, in a way that mind is the problem. Then what happened if they come to that point I would say, the fourth jhana, even before the death, they will be reborn in the Asanya Satta. But what will happen to them one day? So they will be spending a longer period of time in Asanya Satta, but at a certain point, if they think about something, then they expire from that Brahma, because perceptions get started once they start thinking. All right, the rest of the five are what you call five pure lands. So from today, when somebody says we would like to be reborn in the pure land, Sukhavati, good word, Sukhavati, the Mahayana, with the Dhyani Buddha, Amitabha, you could say, yes, I know there are five more pure lands that we learn from the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So that means, I think this is more spacious than that. There are five pure lands, they are accommodating a lot of people, but on condition of attaining Anagami. All right, I think we have to go back to the sutta now, because we have to finish certain other sections after this. You can keep your questions to the Q&A at the end. Right, let's go to the sutta. Now you can see the Brahmakayika deities raised a cry. Brahmakayika deva saddang anusavesu. Now, because they heard it from the Paranimita Vasavati Deva. Then, what is that cry? This is the cry. This is the cry. Now, cry doesn't mean somebody cries, okay? This is not a literal cry that you hear, kind of a cry from a baby or somebody when somebody's scared. The cry here means a sound, a specific, very extraordinary sound, which was made by each Deva world. At this point, the last Deva world, which went to the first Brahma world. This is the one. Etan Bhagavata Varanasiyang Isipatani Migadai, the Buddha at Varanasi in the deer park at Isipatani. Anuttarang Dhammacakkappavattana. This unsurpassed wheel of the Dhamma has been set in motion. Appativattiyang samanena va brahmanena va, which can be stopped by any ascetic or Brahmin. Now, they start thinking whatever this Dhamma that is set in motion by the Buddha cannot be made by any other Deva, Mara, Brahma. So they all come to that one point of understanding. Nobody can do this other than the Buddha. Devena va, Marena va, Brahmana, Deva, no Mara, no Brahma. Anybody in the world. Then what happens? Itihatena kanena tena muhtena. Kanena means, what does kana mean?
Moment.
A moment. Moment. What is a moment actually?
Kanika. Moment.
Kanika, yeah. Have you ever found this word anywhere else? Kanika?
Kanika Samadhi.
Kanika Samadhi. It's given in the Visuddhimagga, right?
Yeah.
Visuddhimagga. But what is, have you ever come across this word in other places? The Buddha says, if anybody practices metta, even for a split second of time, the kusala you creating surpasses all other kusalas. That means metta is the highest attitude. What does it mean? Is metta a mantra to all of us, or is metta a structured practice to all of us? May I be well, happy, peaceful, may no harm come to me, difficulties come to me, may no problems come to me. Mantra. Mantras will not take care of you here. Metta Sutta says it's a structured practice. It's a structured practice. It is a structured practice. I always tell you the incident that was happened to that monk at the time of Buddha in the Buddhist temple, right? This particular monk was practicing metta meditation since morning to the time he sleeps. Every moment he thinks or he says, I'm practicing metta. But one day he was bitten by a cobra, he passed away. Okay. And then other monks reported this to Buddha, saying that, oh, we haven't practiced metta like him. He says he is practicing metta every day, every moment. What happened to him? But that cobra bitten by, stung him. And then the Buddha said, yes, he practiced metta, but he did not practice metta to a certain kind of reptiles. That means that practice is not inclusive. Then he started saying, Virupakke me mettam mettang erapate me chabhyaputte me mettang kanna Dhammacakka. Virupakka, erapata, chabhyaputta, kanna. One of 4 of the major reptiles, especially snakes. And then the particular snake which stung him was not approached, was not reflected in his metta practice. What does it mean? In order for us to deepen or practice metta, we should be able to know size, distance, different manifestations of the beings. Otherwise, just say, may all beings be happy. Do we have an idea of who they are? Right? We don't have any idea about that. Right? May all cats be well, may all dogs be well. I mean, you may say that. But wherever you are, you should know who you are with. Let's say you are living in a place where elephants are living. Then your focus should definitely go to elephants, because wild elephants can come to you. They can do something wrong. If you are living in an area where lots of snakes living, so you know what are these snakes who are living in my area. Right? So in the same way, our metta practice should not be a mantra. Like what some of the Mahayanis do, they have to add subscribe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The more you do, your practice. It's good. I mean, in their way, it's good. I mean, our metta practice, what we know from the Nikaya text, is not that kind of a practice. It is a structured practice. We must understand. So the reason why I was telling is that Buddha says, if you practice metta in a structured way, even for a split second, the kusala you create surpasses, overpowers all the other kusalas. Why? That moment of true metta can surpass all the other types of kusalas. So kanika means that moment. And we have 2 types of deaths in the Nikaya text. Say kanika marana and then sammuti marana. We are always showing us marana sati, reflection of the death. Right? So when you look at it, there are 2 types of marana. Kanika marana and sammuti marana. What is kanika marana? Now you know the kanika. Kanika means moment. Then what is the death with the moment?
The cells are dying every moment.
The Buddha says, every moment we are dying. How many of us have understood that? Now in science, you could say, yes, cells are being repaired in a good way. Cells are being repaired. And when you sleep, your whole body is going to have a complete reset at night, especially liver. If you don't take a good sleep, liver has some problems. That means every part of our body, especially the largest organ of our body, which means the skin, they all are going through a major reset. Probably a lot of things are happening. That means our cells are being repaired. Probably arisen, stayed, and passed, which will turn us to becoming somebody who is aged. Then the sammuti marana means our conventional death. Okay, now here we go back again to the sutta. Itiha tena kanena, thus at that moment, tena muhuttena, a kanena and muhuttena, instant, that moment and instant. What happened was that the same cry, what is the cry? Etam bhagavata bharanasiyang sipatane migadaya anuttarang Dhammacakkappavattana appativattiyang samanena va brahmanena va devena va marena va brahmana va kenachiva lokasmin ti. And this cry reach up to Brahma Loka Sattva. All these Brahma Lokas felt it one by one. When the Brahma Parisaja felt it, they made a cry and Brahma Purohita heard it. When the Brahma Purohita made the cry, Brahma heard it. In the same way, when the Sudasi made the cry, Akanita heard it. Akanita is the highest Brahma world. Now what happens? I think better we will leave this part for next week and then to do a summary and then to finish it. This part has something to think about, discuss a little bit more details, because this is the last part. What happened after that? What will happen to Anya Kondanja, right? Okay, leaving that for next week with a summary of the whole sutta. And I'm now going to leave this for a Q&A. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Yes, any questions about today? The Brahma bowls?
Bhante, earlier you recited the Kanda Parita.
Kanda.
Kanda Parita. There's one part where they say Apamano Buddho, Apamano Dhammo, and Apamano Sangho. What does that mean? He wrote there Buddha is infinite, Dhamma infinite, and Sangha is infinite.
Yeah, unbounded.
Yeah.
The blessings of the Buddha is unbounded, unconditional. So is the Dhamma, so is the Sangha. So that is the idea. Yeah, Kanda Parita. Yes, that is the place where we understand the monk's story. Interesting story.
That one is the Parita that one of the forest monks taught us when we were in Sri Lanka, because they travel up the mountain to practice meditation. He says they
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can show you something here. Okay, let's leave out the snake. Okay, Kanda Parita. Okay, here you see this is Anguttara Nikaya 468. Loving kindness toward royal tribes of snakes. And we gonna go here, see. See, thus I have heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living in Savatthi. During that time, Savatthi, a monk, had passed away, having been bitten by a snake. Right? And then says, monks, that particular monk who passed away did not radiate thoughts of loving metta towards the 4 royal tribes of snakes. The monk would have not died of a snake bite if he had done so. Now these are the ones: Virupakha, Erapata, Chabhyaputta, and Kannaputta. I mean, we don't need to take the snakes as an example. The thing that I was trying to say is that wherever you are, you should be able to do it to the people, even to the people. Sometimes you are living with very bad people, very troublesome people. Since morning and night till night, you're having lots of troubles. You can't bear it. You can't tolerate it. Then the good opportunity to particularly think about these individuals and then to practice metta. You are always thinking, giving metta to all the good people. Good people are good people all the time. They will not change for you. They are good people since day one till now. So you have to bring to the troubled ones, troublemakers. Yeah. Right. Any more questions?
Bhante, there's a question from Facebook
Yes.
by Lim Kim Heng. Bhante, the earth bound fall under which of the 31 planes of existence?
I didn't get that. What is it?
The earthbound falls under which of the 31 planes of existence?
Earthbound Deva. Earthbound Deva come under they are responsible for the Chatur Maharajika Devas. Now the lowest Deva who are living with us, they are responsible for they are monitored by the Chatur Maha, the first Deva world. They are the ones who are monitoring what they are doing. Yeah. So we could say Bhumma Deva, terrestrial Deva, or earthbound Devas, tree spirits, house Deva, right? They are monitored by the, yes.
Bhante, this particular section in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, when they talk about the Devas, got any parallels to the Mahasamaya Sutta, where they also like introduce one whole lot of Devas and Brahmas and Nagas and all those Mahidikas coming in?
Yeah, Mahasamaya Sutta has a different emphasis actually.
Okay.
It has a different emphasis, but here what we understand is that this particular Dhammacakka declaration, when the Buddha declared that now I have, I'm going to say, what do you call, set the wheel of Dhamma in motion. This particular declaration is the official declaration of his mission. So how it went to up to different, as a different Brahma, Deva, Brahma worlds for the first time, how they were startled, how they were shaken, how they were kind of surprised, excited, how they embrace it. So I think this emphasis, and when you go to Mahasamaya, if you can check it out, just to show to other people here, that emphasis is different. Mahasamaya has lots of Buddha's names. Let's see. Second. I think all of you know Mahasamaya Sutta, right? It is a sutta in the chanting book. We go here. It's a great meeting assembly. Yeah, you can see yakkas are part of it. Yeah, it's about yakkas for the most part. Kuvera, Dhammacakkappavattana. Now, Dhammacakkappavattana is part of the Chatu Maharajika. You can see the emphasis. Now, the emphasis is not, I think they are having a meeting together here, like a great meeting, each other, non-humans. You don't see the Dhammacakka. Dhamma was embraced by them, right? You don't see that here. So there are two approaches. Yeah. So they all, I would say it is the greatest assembly where you see among non-humans, the greatest, largest conference among non-humans at a certain point. The emphasis of that and this one is two different stuff, but still non-humans are mentioned. All right, any more questions? We'll take one more minute. Otherwise, we're going to transfer the good karmas.
Bhante, I didn't get the exact meaning of this Khanika and Khanena.
Khanika and Sammuti.
Yeah, and Khanena, what's it apply for this? Is it time or
Khanika and
Khanena?
Khan. I think we only found Khanika. Okay, let's go to this text. Yeah, see the text. It's going to be here, right? Yeah, I think you talk about Khana, Khanena, and what's the other one?
Khanika Marana. Yeah, Khanika.
You are asking about the Marana with the Khanika. Okay. Khanika. Okay, there are two types of deaths in Buddhism. The Buddha says the first death is happening all the time to us because we think that we only die convention, but we die even way before that, right? That means every moment everything is changing, but we don't notice it because our naked eye is not able to see those changes unless you use experimental stuff as scientists, right? Unless you use a scanner. Do we see this? Okay, how many of us can see how the cancer is growing inside our body? Do we see that? Do we see how the cancer is growing slowly, finally killing and taking down the whole body? See, only a test, only a certain test, ultrasound, maybe MRI, maybe something like that, can find it at this point. There are other developed cutting edge technological stuff in the future. So that means most of the changes in our body are not visible to us. So here it says we are dying every moment. Don't take it in the wrong way. I would say we are dying in the sense of, I would say, aging, and things are expiring every moment. So that means if we understand that death, we are able to understand the conventional death in a better way. Yeah, Brother, you have a question too?
Yes, I have opinion to say that the students of Buddhism should be concentrate more on the practice as to realize the Four Noble Truths and not to pay too much attention on things like devas and brahmas and existence that is quite beyond our comprehension. So it will be more profitable for us to concentrate what we know in this world rather than to spend time on learning things in the other world. So if I think like that, am I doing something against the Buddha's teaching when he is explaining all the Brahma and devas and things like that? Is it all right? Is my thinking correct about it?
Now, we appreciate everyone's comments, thoughts, feedback, and there's no problem. But the problem is, what if you don't practice metta to Brahmas and Devas? Is your metta practice going to be inclusive?
No, I mean we practice.
That is a problem. Now, as we understand, okay, we have to separate this thing. When you study a sutta, we have to study almost everything in that sutta.
Oh.
We are doing a sutta study. In the sutta, we study all these aspects. Our approach, as you said, yes, our approach finally is to attain Sotapanna at the very least.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a personal thing. We don't know what other people think here. I think they have the same idea. But when we study, we learn all these things. It doesn't mean that they are too much focused on Deva or Brahma. Right? I don't think none of us are very much focused on these people. But we learn them, who they are, because we need an understanding at least to practice our metta. Because if you don't have that kind of a deep and inclusive practice of metta, it is difficult for us to practice metta to all the beings. But our purpose-wise, we are not too much concerned about non-humans because they are different than us. All right, so let's then transfer good karmas because the time is almost 10 and we have another event tomorrow. May all the good karmas which we've been accumulating today be transferred to all the departed ones who passed away in the name of all of us. May departed ones be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idamme jnati hotu sukita huntu jnatayo. Idamme jnati hotu sukita huntu jnatayo. Idamme jnati sukita huntu jnatayo. Now we think about the Deva Naga Mahitika. Can you think about them? See? May Deva Naga Mahitika be well and happy. May they be, may they protect and bless all of us for good health, quality of life, prosperity, and safety. May Deva Naga Mahitika also finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ittavatacha ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumoda sambasang patti siddhya. Ittavatacha ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodatu sambasang patti siddhya. Ittavatacha ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe sattha anumodatu sambasang patti siddhya. Akasattha Chibhumattha Devanaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhang Tulukasasana. Akasattha Chibhumattha Devanaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhang Tulukasasana. Akasattha Chibhumattha Devanaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhang Tumang Paranti Chirang Rakhang Tumang Sadanti. May we be in the company of the Kalyana Mitras as we do now, this life. Furthermore, may we be not in the company of the Papa Mitras. In thus, we're going to make a wish. Imina Punya Kammene Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Yavanibbana Pattiya. Finally, may all the good karmas which we've been accumulating today in discussing about the Brahma verbs before. Prior to that, we discussed about Deva worlds. I think we all discussed about how the cry, the declaration, official declaration of the Dhamma was set in motion by the Buddha. And may all these good karmas we created today in all these ways be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu,
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 sadhu, sadhu.
Abhivadana silissa nichang vadha pachainu chattaru dhamma vadhanti ayuvanu sukhang balan ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti me vache ato nibbana sampatti iminati saminchatu. Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
With that, our Sutta discussion is over for today. And I wanted to say that next Friday, we are planning to finish the whole Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And today is the 70th day. We've been doing discussions for 70 days.
Yeah.
And after this Sutta, our original plan was to go to another Sutta. I think this is Sabbasava Sutta. I think we can discuss more, but I will think about, because tomorrow I'll be discussing Sabbasava Sutta in the retreat. If so, we will be thinking what to do after that. Just give some thoughts on my side. And if you have any questions about Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, please bring them up next Friday. We will be discussing finally about the Sotapatti, because ascetic Kondanya became a Sotapanna. And we will be discussing that largely about how to become a Sotapanna, what is Sotapatti, and all that. Right? So I wish you a good night, and I will be seeing some of you tomorrow morning. Okay. Take care.
Okay. Good night, Bhante.
Sadhu,
Okay,
sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu.
Good night, Bhante.
Good night,
See you
Bhante.
Good
tomorrow.
night, Bhante.
Yeah, Bhante. Good night, everyone.
Brother Lim, I think you mentioned about something about your health. I hope that you're getting well, as we all wish you on the group